What is going on, Lakers fam? This is your boy Jay Lake, bringing you Lakers all day, all the time. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and click on that like and subscribe button down under. It would help us out a lot. Appreciate you coming back on, Nas.
What's up? Glad to be back. What up, Jay? What up, Laker fans?
So, all right. So today we're gonna kind of go over like our standings, where the Lakers are at so far, learning curve for every player not named LBJ and AD, and the
hmm
curious case of D'Lo.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about these things. This is the time of the month that we really need to get going, or time of the season that we need to get going. It's go time.
Yeah, and so after D'Lo, we are gonna go into our Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. We need to get some visual and audio for that.
That's right.
All right, so our Lakers, right?
Agreed.
We're currently ninth in the West, 1.5 games behind the Kings, 2 games behind the Suns, and 3 games behind the Pelicans. I really hope that we catch up to the Suns rather than the Kings because we don't match up so well against the Kings. It's their
We don't.
speed, athleticism, their ability to guard kind of D'Lo and our other players that make it difficult for our guards to really do anything. Suns, we match up a lot better against them. I mean, there's a couple games where all three of their starters weren't playing, but still, it's like we, beat the Suns a lot more than we beat the Kings because so far we've been losing the Kings. So um, we should have been closer to the Suns, but they beat the Nuggets, and nobody really thought that the Suns would beat the Nuggets. But I mean, you get to this time of the year, all these playoff contenders, all these championship contenders, they kind of rest their starters, right? I mean, they don't really want anybody to get injured. They don't want any nagging injuries going into the playoffs, so they start resting some of their starters, and they lose some games. And who cares?
Phoenix is built or was built, to do well at the end of the regular season, and of course, move up in the standings. And they're built for the playoffs. So we had to kind of know that they were going to make a run and do well at the end of the season. It did help that they played Jamal Murray-less Denver Nuggets yesterday, but I feel like they're playing their best ball, or they're going to play their best ball in these next last 10, 9 last games, or 9, 10 last games of the season. And, this team is built to make a playoff run. I do feel like we match up better against that team because we beat them, 3 times? They beat us twice. And we match up horrible against Sacramento. Sabonis he looks like Nikola Jokic against the Lakers. And Davis has not been productive against Sabonis. And then, De'Aaron Fox just runs all over us. That's a horrible matchup for us, even though I think they're a game and a half ahead of us, and the Suns are too. But I would like to match up against the Suns rather than Sacramento. But both matchups are not going to be an easy task for us in a playing game scenario.
Yeah, and I really don't want to be that ninth or 10th seed where we have to, 1 game out. I want to be in that 7th or 8th seed where at least we have 2 chances to get in. I think in an ideal world, basically the Nuggets are on the other side of the bracket where either the Suns or the Kings are number 7 and we're number 8. We play Oklahoma, they play the Nuggets. Hopefully the Suns knock out the Nuggets, then bam, there we go, chip time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the top, right, the ideal team for us looks like it's Oklahoma. We played very well against Oklahoma. Our size really did riddle them, and we were able to actually do well against SGA, except for one game. I think that was the game that we lost. But our offense really worked well and fluidly against theirs, and we were just able to kind of outrun them and out endure them. So that looks like it's the better matchup if we do get in a 1-8-2-7 scenario with them. But it is just a really hard or steep hill to climb when it comes to the Lakers and getting through the playoffs, or getting as far as they did last year. We are 5 games better than we were last year, but it just seems like everybody is so much better than they were last year. You have teams like Minnesota, Oklahoma, New Orleans, and even Sacramento, who all seem to be even better teams than they were last year. And so, if we are the ninth team and we have to play Golden State in a one game, playoff for that 7th or 8th playoff, that last seed, that is a tough game too. we have not played well against the Warriors these last two games against them. So tons of concerns, tons of obstacles, but welcome to March Madness NBA style.
Definitely. Yeah, so if we were playing the way we did last year, like right now, we would probably be in the fourth
Yeah.
or fifth seed. This West is a gauntlet of teams, you know. I mean, they keep
Yeah.
getting better and better. If we're on the East, then we'd easily be in that fourth and fifth seed. So I mean,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure. Who's the fourth seed in the East?
I
New York?
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, easy peasy. But over here in the West, it's the wild, wild West, and it's your guess is as good as mine how this is all going to unravel. Hopefully, we uh we can have our best months in the month of April like we did last year, and really peak at that time. But this is going to be a tedious task for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So Lakers been on a roll, 5-0 past 5 games, 8 and
Yeah.
4 for the month of March. I mean,
Mhm.
we've been on a tear, and hopefully we keep this up into postseason.
I have Jay. I have some positives and I have some negatives.
Okay.
What do you want? What do you want first?
I want the negatives first.
All right. The negatives, I feel like, kind of appease to your opinion about Darvin Ham. I've always kind of been a supporter or defender of Darvin Ham, especially since they had such a great playoff run last year and got to the Western Conference Finals after being a losing team most of the season. This year, I have not been as impressed. Even in this run, where we're 8-4 in March and 5-0 in the last 5 games, like you said, um, it's a lot of ISO. It's a lot of individual performances, and which leads me to my positive. I kind of go in and out.
Okay.
Hachimura and Reaves, they both have highs in points, rebounds, and assists for the month of March. D'Lo close. He's second as far as points, monthly in the season. So he has the second highest point total for March. But he's also got highs in assists and rebounds as well. It just seems like these players are pressing on the gas at this time, right? They are, playing at their highest, their highest, peak of the season. And they are kind of turning it on. You see it with Hachimura. You definitely see it with D'Lo, my man, and Austin Reaves as well, especially in crunch time the other day. He was huge in double overtime against Milwaukee. But these don't seem to be set plays. They seem to be kind of ISO performances where they're just getting hot at the right time. I mean, tell me if you agree or disagree, but I just don't see a lot of schemes they call them these days. You know, as opposed to maybe last year where we saw more fluidity, offensively. Now it's just like, oh, it's your turn. Oh, here, Hachi, it's your turn. No, oh, now D'Lo, here you go. Go off. Start shooting threes with three guys in your face, and we'll hope for the best. And it's worked out, but it just doesn't seem impressive as far as from a coaching standpoint.
Welcome to the club, Nas.
Yeah, I'm
Last
initiated.
year we've been
I'm
griping about
initiated.
Ham like for the longest time. I mean, even though you don't think he's running plays, he's probably running plays, but they're just so simple that they get broken down and they have to resort to ISO
Yeah,
plays. That's probably what it is.
yeah.
But so Lakers,
Yeah,
right? We've been
I
on
mean, forgive me for maybe they are, but they don't look like it, like you said.
yeah. But yeah, Lakers have been on a tear lately. AD, he's been monstrous like these past 5 games. OMG, right?
For
Like
sure.
he's on his way to like that front runner for the DPOY this year because the way he's been playing, I mean, he looks like the best player. Doesn't matter if it's against like Giannis, doesn't matter if it's against like any of those players. I mean, he's been crazy.
Man,
So that Bucks game, right? Double OT, that was crazy. Nobody
coming up
thought we.
huge.
Yeah. So I kind of missed a portion of that game, right? So I was texting you guys, and I was like, I'm glad I made it because I want to see the Lakers close out. And then homie Mario over there, he's like, "Hey, Lakers lost already." I was like, "What, Mr. Optimism?"
I had also lost hope, was down 18 in the fourth quarter, but kind of like you said, they turned it on defensively. And then just a lot of individual performances, especially with Austin Reaves in the fourth quarter. and they just got hot at the right time. I'm not impressed with Milwaukee. I also feel like they have some identity issues, even more than us, and they don't know who is supposed to take over at what time. What time is Dame time? What time is the Greek Freak time? Nobody freaking knows. And then Anthony Davis was just like a safety, one of the best safeties in the league. Just anytime anybody got past their man, they had to deal with the secondary, and the secondary was amazing, especially in overtime. He just was not letting up, and he was just like a man possessed. And you gotta love him. I don't really care about he's third in the voting for defensive player in the league. I'm biased. I don't care. He's sensational. He's number one for me as far as defensive player of the year because he's dominating. People are scared and intimidated. Even Giannis.
Yeah, most definitely. So for your previous point that you're talking about how Austin Reaves, Rui, D'Lo, they're kind of hyping their highs of the year, right? I feel the same right now. So every time those three players, right, AR, D'Lo, Rui, they go for say maybe 40 to 50 points. It's been a lock. We win the games, right? So okay, for your Bucks game, AR 29, 14, 10, triple double. D'Lo 29, 7, and 12. It's like
amazing.
Rui 16 and 14, double double, 74 points total. How can we not win games when it's like that, right? And okay, so you look at the next game that we had against
Memphis.
Against Memphis. So Rui went 32 and 10, double double. I mean, Rui's just he has monster games against Memphis. I don't know what it is. It's his size, his athleticism. It's just he's a bad matchup for Memphis. Yeah. LBJ, he's Mr. Dependable. Triple double easily. 23, 14, 12. D'Lo 23, 2 and 4. AR 13, 11 double double. It's like again, look at your players, right? Rui, D'Lo, AR 68 points. Come on, 68 points. We're winning that game.
I like the most about the post-game interview is he said he didn't like the city of Memphis very much. And he takes it to them every time. And then he criticizes and disses their city. Legendary.
It's like that fool that like knocks that guy out. He's like standing over him, like talking shit after.
Standing over him. I'm like, and your city sucks. and Derek Fisher, who's from Arkansas, nearby Memphis, was you can tell he was kind of butthurt in the post-game show. But hey, man, Hachi was just being honest. And yeah, every time he's there, at least the last 3-4 visits, he's been turning it on. Unfortunately, he has to go back next week. I wonder if they boo him if they hear about that interview.
Well, I mean, did he talk in Japanese or was it in English?
It was in English and there was a Laker broadcast. But you know how things are these days. They get back to people in Memphis, I'm sure.
Yeah. But okay, so the other player I think has been key. I've been high on him ever since we got him is Spencer, right? Spence has been, he's been our defensive player. Like he's like point of attack defensive guard because like in the past, it's like Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Jamal. It's like all the all-star point guards. They would burn us bad, and it's like they would hit these buzzer beaters. They would drive the lane, penetrate, no problem, right? But dude, with Spencer, he's like our missing piece. Last year, we had Vando, but he was overtaxed. It's like Vando, he chased all the best players around all the time. But I think with Spence in the front court and with Vando in the back court, if he does get healthy, hopefully, because 4 players injured right now, all 4 of those are pretty key. But supposedly Vando and it's not Wood or Vincent. Oh, so Reddish, right? So Vando, Reddish. Vando, Reddish are supposed
Reddish
to be
back. Reddish has been playing, yeah.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie, he just kind of seemed like he's that gritty guy. I kind of noticed him kind of turning up his, defensive tenacity, if you will, especially when his shot just wasn't hitting. He's only had one really great offensive game, and that was that game against Indiana where pretty much everybody had a great offensive game. They had 150 points. Like, oh my God, what is this, an all-star game? And he let the floodgates open for that game. But man, he's just been really clutch defensively. Both games against Milwaukee. The first one against Milwaukee a couple weeks ago in LA, he was the one that made the stop on Dame time, Damian Lillard, and blocked his game-winning shot or possible game-winning shot. So he's been clutch that way. He's been the person kind of picking up the tough defensive assignments, and you see it kind of like, well, his offense isn't what it was when he was in Brooklyn, but he's picking up the defense, maybe those kind of assignments that Vanderbilt would have, but he's out injured.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything about his game. It's like I love his personality, the
Yeah.
quirkiness that he comes with him.
Woodland Hills finest. Born in Woodland Hills. Only
Yeah,
legends come from Woodland Hills,
so
Jay.
he would definitely be my priority off-season signing. I'm hoping that he likes it in LA because not every player is meant for the bright lights of LA. It shines a lot brighter, and you have to have a certain personality in order to survive in LA. So I'm hoping he
But
likes it in LA.
he's from here. He's
Yeah,
from here. It's in
there
his
we go.
DNA.
There we go. So give us a good deal, and we will bring you back for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And so the last one is basically D'Lo. Uh, Most people
My
here,
man.
or I guess most of us at Lake Show kind of rag on D'Lo, but I'm glad you're a supporter of D'Lo now. Well,
I
in one of his
am. I am.
right in one of his post game pressers, he was saying like, "Oh, after that trade season, public humiliation has done nothing but molded me into the killer that you all see today." And it's like, all right, okay, D'Lo, all right, fine.
All right, calm
And then
down, D-Lo.
then he goes into, and I never lack confidence. I never fear confrontation. I want all the smoke. And it's like sometimes, D'Lo, I don't know what to make of all your smoke because
Yeah.
for me, I don't believe he's clutch. Whenever they defend him really. Okay.
Well,
He's clutch when
yeah.
they basically play off of him, right? When they're really not man up, they're not like playing him hard defensively. It's like he goes off. Yeah, it's like okay. But when they're manning up on him and they're playing him like hard defense, it's like he tends to shy away from the big moments, from the bright lights of the big against the major players. I feel like whenever the playoff teams they crank it up on defense and offense, then D'Lo's dribble or his shooting or he doesn't get the open threes like he usually does, like say against the Kings. Then he kind of withers a bit and just kind of stands in the background and has his off nights. He doesn't have a Mamba mentality because his late night binges, especially in LA, it's very popping up here in LA. So there's a lot to do. um, I have some sources that are close to him that's told me he's been
Really?
flying in on these late flights before games. So I mean, like the night before the game, he comes in from different states or different cities, and so it's like you kind of wonder where his head's at. It's like he's still relatively young. He's in LA, So I mean,
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to be the Stephen A. Smith to your Shannon Sharp
All right.
and be like, no, man. I mean that okay. I'm not a huge fan of his game as far as he's streaky and he shoots these shots, that have a guy in his face and they don't look like good shots. He's a bad shot taker, but he's also been a bad shot maker. And he's really lit it up in the year of 2024, and he's had his 3 highest months of point totals in those months. I mean, he's just kind of turned it on since the trade talk. And he's really been a great, consistent option for them, especially when LeBron or Davis aren't being aggressive or not even in the lineup. He had 44 points against Milwaukee 2 weeks ago, that same game that Dinwiddie had the game-winning block, and he had the go-ahead bucket on the previous possession with a floater. And you're telling me he's not clutch? I mean, that was clutch in a huge game that we had to have with no LeBron James. And Davis had one arm at that point. Something happened to his arm. I think you've told me what it was. And D'Lo took over in a tough game against two of the best players in the league, with Damian Lillard and Giannis. So I would have to disagree. I do understand his overall streakiness, but I feel like he's been pretty clutch and pretty consistent, especially in the new year, in the months of January, February, and March.
I don't know. It's like the Bucks. It's like who do you got guarding D'Lo? Dame time, huh? It's like he's known for his defense.
44 points though. 44 points is the third option. What other third option on any other team that's scoring 44 points?
True. So I mean, I'm glad. D'Lo. I'm hoping that trade kind of that went by it woke him up. Because I feel like he might not always be up on his practices, or if he's during practices he has those employees with those brooms or whatever, those sticks or whatever that's trying to guard him, like he's gonna make a shot, but against those tough defenders, like it might not be happening. But I'm glad that he did break the Lakers all-time 3-point scoring.
He did. And I feel like we should give him his flowers for that. With games to spare, he beat the all-time Lakers single season record for 3-pointers. Hey Jay, do you know who he beat to break that record?
Could it be Nick the Quick Van Exel?
Let's go back to 1995. Nick Van Exel, second-year player. Oh, Magic, he's gone. James Worthy retires. The Lakers in 1994 don't make the playoffs for the first time in 18 years after they won 5 championships in the decade of the 90s. But no need to fear. Nick the Quick is here, or was here, 1995. And Nick Van Axel really revamped that Showtime team. And they didn't call them Showtime. Do you remember what they called them?
Yeah, I don't remember the doldrums of the Lakers, the post Showtime.
They call them the Lake Show, which is the name of your podcast, and the name originated from the 95 Lakers team. Fact check me on that. It was Cedric Sabalas, Nick Van Axel, Eddie Jones, Vlade Divac, and a whole bunch of other guys. And they were one of the funnest teams to watch that year. And they really revamped that squad, not making the playoffs the year prior. That year, they were able to get all the way to the second round versus the best regular season team of that year, San Antonio Spurs, against the David Robinson, Dennis Rodman with the blonde hair, looking like Wesley Snipes. And they had a great squad. Sean Elliott was on that squad. And Nick the Quick was able to help that team go all the way to the 6th game of the second round that year with a bunch of young guys and nobodies. Cedric Sabalas kind of rebounding his career for Phoenix. So Nick Van Axel really revamped that Laker team and made them sexy again. He brought sexy back before Justin Timberlake did. And that's why that team was enticing to a young Kobe Bryant in Pennsylvania and a young Shaquille O'Neal not getting a championship in Orlando. So Nick Van Axel was the man that year and really revamped that team with others. And he is the man that D'Lo broke the record from. But don't forget Nick the Quick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nick the Quick, highlight of that post Showtime era. Besides the Lake Show coming out, it's like Nick the Quick is basically the only other one. Maybe Eddie Jones and Cedric Sabalos, but I mean, it's kind of like the post Kobe era where it's like, all right, okay, we got to kind of put up with lots of draft picks and draft pick standings and whatnot to reload to get that next superstar.
He had a last-second shot to get them to Game 6. Their season was on the line. He did a floater just like D'Lo, but from the three-point line from a rebound, and he nailed the shot in San Antonio to get him to a Game 6. He's a legend. Yes, he was not a champion. Yes, he said 1, 2, 3 Cancun before they got eliminated against Utah 3 years later. Yes, he pushed a ref into the stands or whatever that was. But in 95, like I said, he brought the Lake Show back and made that team attractive again to, soon to be free agents that came a couple years later. So that was my flashback throwback.
Do you know what draft pick that he got drafted at?
He was in the second round in 1993. I do not remember the pick, Jay. You stumped me on that one. Thanks for making me look bad.
Anytime, I got you, Nas. So, second round, pick number 37, basically. So he was a Cincinnati.
University of Cincinnati.
Exactly. Lots of speed and athleticism, kind of what the Lakers has always lacked. We always didn't have that quick twitch point guard. Magic Johnson, he was quick, but he was more known for his passing and his flashiness than really his speed. Only other players I could think of maybe on the Lakers is say like Russell Westbrook, but I mean he's fast, athletic, but he can't shoot any threes, so that don't really count.
I don't know if you remember. I'm gonna stump you because you stumped me.
All right.
Do you remember Ramon Sessions?
That's what I was gonna say next. Ramon.
Touche, Jay.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know who we traded Nick the Quick for? Because after that ref pushing, he got suspended. I don't know, it was like 7 games, got fined. Then it was kind of a little bit downhill the next year after that. But then we traded him for somebody. Do you remember who?
I do. Do you remember who? It was Tyrone Lue.
Exactly, on the Clippers.
Boom! Do you remember who? Tyrone Lue. Yeah, it was Tyrone Lue and another guy named Tony Battie, who just never
Yeah,
really turned into much. He became kind of a workman type on Boston on the Boston Celtics. But yeah, it was Tyrone Lue, and didn't play much the first couple of years. And we people know him, for that getting stepped over by on a or by AI in the 2001 Finals, Game One. But he had a decent year or a couple of years with the Lakers in 2001, 2001, and then of course went on with the Wizards. But yeah, Ty Lue came in that Van Axel trade in the summer of 1998, if I can
nice.
recall.
Yeah, so Nick the Quick went over to the Nuggets. He shined pretty brightly over there in Nuggets because they were a horrible team back then. He averaged about 21
Yeah,
points
he had
per
all his
game
highs over there. All his
and eight
highs were over
assists,
there. Yeah.
right? But they did flip him for a first round pick, though. They flipped him and they got Nene, so that was not a bad pickup.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be, biased to bring Nick the Quick back to the Lakers. It's like he's been an assistant coach so far with
Oh, all over the
the
league. Yeah.
Hawks, the Bucks, I
Mhm,
think the
mhm.
Mavericks also. So he has some coaching experience. So we need more assistant coaches.
Yeah, man, that would be great to have Nick the Quick back in the Laker purple and yellow, even if it was just on the bench. Um, I still feel like he was a legend, never a champion. Maybe he could be on a team in which he was on the coaching staff and we got a chip. That would be great. Love me some Nick the Quick.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really hoping that we do well the rest of these 9, 10 games left.
Mhm.
Get ideally 7th, 8th seed. um, well, I mean, we'll see what happens in these next couple games. That
Yeah,
India.
we have a tough one against Indiana tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then we have, if we can get through that game, we have a couple of easy ones on the road. Well, easy-ish against teams that are already eliminated or almost out of playoff contention. We have some tough games when we come back, actually, from the road, and then we end the season against the Pelicans, and they might still be playing, all their players if they can because they'll be fighting for, ranking and playoff contention. So we have some tough games left, but the Lakers have definitely turned it on and pressed on the gas, and everybody is at least playing well at the same time. I don't know if I'd say gelling together, but they're all playing well individually, and hopefully we can get some cohesion going into the playoffs.
Yeah, hoping for some good news on Vando and Red as well. Like they stay healthy going into the playoffs.
Gabe
And
Vincent's supposed to come back on Sunday versus the Brooklyn Nets.
all right, good to know. All right, Lakers fam. So you heard it here first. Let us know what you think, where you think we should be in the standings. Just put your comments in the comments down below, and we shall see you next time.
Yeah, hashtag leave D'Lo be. Let D'Lo be. Let him cook.
Yeah.